Many of you have woken this week to newspapers covered with ads saying Trump has arrived. Have you? Book an apartment in Trump Tower and have conversation and dinner with Donald Trump Jr. Well, I'm here for the conversation part at least because it's too early in the morning to have dinner.
How are you?
Donald Trump Jr., welcome to CNBC TV 18.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
All right. Are you expecting a very crowded dinner table?
I think we have a rather busy week, actually. There's no shortage of fanfare, and it's great to be back here in India.
All right. So, hectic 4 days. Believe it's to review your real estate portfolio because there are no government visits lined up, isn't it?
Correct. No, it's about real estate. It's been a market that we've been excited about for quite some time. I've been coming here since my late 20s. I don't even want to talk about how old I am now, but it's been I just turned 40 2 months ago, so it's been an exciting place for us, and a market I spent a lot of time really getting to know and forming great relationships both with Kalpesh and Pankaj and others, and so it's exciting to see those projects coming through fruition. It's unfortunate that we were not able to do new ones because there'd be no shortage of new business that we could do, but that's a understandable opportunity cost of some of the other things that we're doing that are also important.
All right. We'll come to those a little bit later. Can you corroborate that India is now your largest international market outside of the United States?
It is, in terms of those kinds of deals. It is.
Both
it's been an exciting
revenues
market.
And size?
Well, certainly in terms of number of projects, right? Revenues depends on what we're doing. When we have owned projects, depending on the size of those projects, those are different, and we don't talk about those numbers. But it's been a very important international market to us. It was quite a few years ago where I said it would become our largest because I really believed in the market. I believed in the people and the relationships that I was able to form. And I think it will continue to be when I'm able to again get back in the market and focus on the business side, on new deals again in the future. Again, once my father's out of office.
All right. So, are you scoping new deals along with Kalpesh?
No, not right now. We're precluded. We're self-imposed, but we're precluding ourselves from doing that today. There were many that we were looking at before that weren't sort of over the finish line by the time my father took office, so we had to say no to those. But we will be back in time, and we're looking forward to when that is.
All right. $3 million in licensing fees, that has been reported as a figure from India. Is that correct?
No,
and now with more projects getting added, what could that number look like in 2018?
Well, we don't discuss those fees, so I don't believe that's accurate. But we will do well in India. It's been an important market for us. But again, I think there is the opportunity cost of the deals that we're not able to do that don't get discussed. So when people talk about it these days, it's profiteering from the presidency and all this nonsense. I say, wait a minute, I can't do deals. I've spent over a decade creating relationships to now where we have 5 incredible deals that are all active, and we could do so many more, and we're not doing those, but no one wants to talk about those kind of deals. It's sort of a shame because we put on these impositions on ourselves, but essentially got no credit for actually doing that and for doing the right thing. I'm not saying it was wrong, but it is an important market for us. It would have been, and it will be again in time when we're able to come back.
All right. Been reading reports that after your father's presidency, the Trump real estate brand has come under fire in several geographies. Does that bother you? And how do you tackle it?
Listen, I think it is what it is. I think there comes a point in someone's life where you actually have to take a stand, where you actually have to do what is right and what is important. And it may not necessarily be popular to all people because everyone wants to believe that the world as a whole is a great place. But I think an important part of what my father's doing and what other politicians around the world who've had pretty good success is actually addressing real issues and tackling them, not just for popularity's sake, but because they actually have to be addressed. And so, I think when you do get into politics, there is sort of a binary nature to it. You're either this way or you're that way. There's not really much common ground these days. And I think that's unfortunate, and I think that could change for the better. But, as a business, we're going to continue to run. We have incredible assets all over the world that will continue to operate and to grow, certainly in the United States. And it's just a factor of life. Like anything else in business, there's curveballs thrown at you every day. And we'll continue to do what we do well and surmount those obstacles.
All right. Good to hear that. In India, though, let me bring in your partners, Tribeca. You signed a partnership on a paper napkin, I believe, Kalpesh Mehta?
It was a business plan on the back of a coffee napkin, yes, eight years ago.
All right. How's the journey been? I mean, very exciting numbers you've shared with us, 1,100 crore rupees in 2 projects in Kolkata and NCR. Tell me, you know, your earlier projects were priced at a 25 to 30% premium, but this time they've been very competitive. Was that to meet the market blues? Was it a smart strategy?
So, you know, the pricing premium hasn't changed. In fact, it's gone higher. I think what we've done differently here is that we've sized the apartments rightly. People believe that luxury meant large sizes, 6,000, 7,000 square feet units, and I think we've rationalized these, you know, the sizes here. And I think what we've sort of truly differentiated ourselves with here is just a product strategy. With a brand like Trump, you know, we had a lot of buyers coming in because they want to own a globally recognized address. We knew it was going to be an emotional purchase. We just needed to make sure once they walked in, the product and the pricing strategy was perfect. And I think we've achieved that. We've done 1,100 crores across 2 projects in 4 months. Delhi NCR, we're in our 7th week, and we've touched 700 crores. We did 600 crores in the first 6 weeks. That's 100 crores a week for the first 6 weeks, and we started the 7th week with 100 crores on day 1 yesterday. So I think we're off to a great start, and I think Don's going to be happy.
All right. You know, the entire industry is probably sweating right now. Pankaj Bansal, what made you take that decision or the plunge with the Trump brand?
I think it's been a great success. After getting Trump on board, the industry might be in whatever shape, but as M3M, along with Trump and Tribeca, we are doing fairly well. As Kalpesh mentioned, that we've already done 700 crores, and on a group level, we have done $700 million. So it's a great start for us, and it's a great ending.
All right. What is the promise of the Trump brand in terms of real estate? What will set it apart from, let's say, an incumbent player like DLF? We said you set the cat loose amongst the pigeons.
Yes, you did.
In the NCR market and Kolkata.
I hear people weren't too happy with that comment.
Welcome to my world, my friend. They're never happy with anything you say. You can say the nicest thing in the world. They'll figure out a way to make you not happy. Don't worry.
You know, look, I think there's 2 things that happen here. You know, a brand like Trump gives you an opportunity to develop a product that you couldn't otherwise have done on your own. You know, the Trump brand sort of represents an address that you know, most people, or most of our buyers at least, yearn to have, and that gives us the ability to do a product that, you know, that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And this is a truly global, you know, level of product. You know, the Delhi NCR project, it was 2 years on the drawing board, countless iterations. You know,
it takes that long, you're saying?
This one took that long because, you know, this was the largest Trump project in India. We wanted to, and the market was, you know, was what it was. So we had to be absolutely sure that, you know, what we were doing, you know, made sense. And one of the things we did was sort of threw out, you know, all the notions of what, you know, luxury means big. We did rationally sized apartments. Our sales and marketing strategy here is very differentiated. It's sort of, is very emotion and experience heavy. Our sales gallery, as you know, is at the Oberoi Gurgaon.
Right.
It's this beautiful, dreamy space. You're transported into a different world as soon as you enter. I think our pricing strategy was right. So, you know, I think it's a combination of product, brand pricing, and sort of marketing.
He looked at you and said, Don must be very happy, or is very happy. Are you? Have the sales of these 2 projects exceeded your expectations, met your expectations? How do you view it?
You know, they're doing incredibly well. I mean, you know, they've certainly met my expectations. I think they're starting to exceed them, and they continue to do well.
He's still a tough man to keep.
I got to keep them working a little bit.
That keeps us going. That keeps us going.
If I say they've exceeded entirely, then, you know, they'll be calling me later on saying they want to renegotiate. So, no, but, you know, in all fairness, you know, they've done a great job, and, you know, Kalpesh has become truly a friend. It's not just a business partner, and now, obviously, over the last few years, getting to know Pankaj, but, you know, that's what this is about. I think there is, you know, both within the reforms, within the markets themselves, where people can really understand what's going on, as well as sort of, you know, again, because it's not my first week in India. I've been coming here for a long time, and I learned the hard way, right? The first few trips to India, I was like, wow, what am I getting into? And it takes a while to do that, but, you know, once you do spend the time, once you do sort of get to know the players and who is who, as opposed to who tells you what they are, it does make a big difference. So I have great confidence in the market. I have great confidence in sort of the spirit of what's going on here. And I think that also probably translates to the buyers, that if, these relationships that we've built over years, that I'm entrusting them with our brand, I think that matters because I think buyers know that, it's going to mean something to us and we're going to be watching as well. And I think consumer confidence is everything in the real estate market. So I think that has been able to really differentiate us from, a lot of other great, players that have been very big but sort of have just done the same thing over and it becomes a volume play. I think we're trying to do something unique, special within that sector.
You talked about consumer confidence, and between your India journey, striking your first deal with Panchsheel, your second with Lodha, to now doing something with Pankaj, and of course your Kolkata partners, the rules of engagement in this market have changed, haven't they? There's been some
very much so.
Policy changes which have been very big and shaken the market completely. Have your rules of engagement changed as well between your partners?
Well, I think there's more of an understanding. I mean, again, from a foreign investor seeing some of those rules, why they may have shocked the market sector, certainly within developers, right? I think holding people more accountable that way is going to be great for the purchasers in the end. And if you don't have the purchaser or you scare them away through repeated bad experience, you have no market. Right. So I think what's gone on, with the regulations over the last few years, while perhaps a shock to the system initially, for the long term is incredible. As it relates to me personally coming in as business, when I came in my late 20s, early 30s, looking at deals, the first couple times it was, you speak to someone, you meet them in New York, and they're saying, I have the greatest piece of land in the market, and here's the maps, and it looks very credible, and then you get there, well, it's not really my land. It's like, what? Well, it's my cousin's friends, brothers, uncles, maybe someone, but now that you're here, let's talk business, and you're saying,
what happened?
So, it took a while to sort of get through an entrepreneurial spirit in India that everyone's trying to figure out how to make that happen. Now, again, I'm not a baby to this market, so now you listed the names of our partners, sort of, in my opinion, the cream of the crop, right? The best of the best. And so that didn't just happen overnight, though. That took years of being here, being in the market, believing in the market.
I know.
I said it, like I said, years ago, I said, hey, this is going to be a big market for us. I don't know how, but I see it, and I know that we're going to do it. And then it was time. It was time on the ground. It was time with the individuals, with the partners, forming those true friendships, not just talking about business. And it also meant sacrifice, in that you don't just jump on every deal that's presented. Just because you can put a couple dollars in your pocket today doesn't mean it's the right thing for you, for your brand, in the future. And so, there is an element of discipline associated with there, and, that's part of it. The biggest thing is after a decade of forming those relationships to say, hey, we have to take a time out for a few years as it relates to new deals, is difficult because you spend a lot of time forming those things. And now that you're there, now that you're with the best, we could do so much. So I still believe in this country and in this, market with these guys as it's going to be the future of international, Trump businesses. I just can't do it right now.
Well, the conversation is getting very interesting. We need to understand a little bit about this three-way partnership. We'll come back and talk about it. Pankaj, you've been in this market, have seen the entire cycle of going up and then crashing down. The market that you've launched Trump Towers in was once supposedly the best upcoming market, went down miserably. Do you think after this launch, golf course extension has got re-rated forever? 100%. Or at least for the next few years?
100%. People, channel partners, buyers have already started calling that road as Trump Road. So that is the power of Trump brand.
They started calling it a Trump Road?
The golf course extension.
I think we're going to own golf course extension. But, see, golf course extension comes from the DLF project.
But I would.
All right. Well, it's a heavy brand to carry on your shoulder, isn't it, Donald Trump Jr.? It brings with it a lot of responsibility as well.
It does, but it's exciting. And, I like that kind of responsibility. That's a burden I want to bear because, again, I believe in the market, and I've spent, over a decade trying to prove that thesis to myself and to others.
All right. Kalpesh, what is the responsibility you bear with this Trump brand and being the sole licensing company for this brand in India?
So, our relationship kind of changed. When we first brought the Trump brand to India, we were helping Trump license the brand. So, Don and I were on one side, and we were licensing it to other partners. And now, once Tribeca decided to enter development, we've now become JV partners with M3M. No, with M3M here.
All right.
And we're the we're the licensees with Don. But that sort of legal structuring. My overall responsibility is just to maintain and grow the brand and make sure that the standards that they've set in the U.S. are being adhered to and bettered in India, and making sure the brand is.
How long does it take to find the right partners?
It takes years. It takes years. I think the 5 deals that have happened were a result of over 100 deals that we seriously looked at, probably 25, 30. Term sheet signed.
What happens to the 5th one? I'm sorry I'm stopping you here, but there's one more with IDEO. When do you launch that as a retail cum commercial?
I think that's going to get launched sometime this year.
So within 2018 is the plan?
It should be. Obviously that was in an early stage development, finalizing aspects of that, finalizing design, so it just depends on when they want to launch. It also depends on the market and what's going on in that market, but we're excited about that one as well.
Did you hear clearly what Kalpesh said? Earlier he was with you, and we were getting the, he was supporting you, but now he's become a developer with us, and now we are on one side of the table, and you are the brand license.
But that's the interesting thing. Again, when you form the right relationship over time, and it isn't about instant gratification, put some money in your pocket today, that can still work. We can be on opposite sides of the table and say, you know what, hey, someone's going to take a little bit of a hit this way, but it's the right thing for us for the future. And that makes it so much easier, again, in time when I'm looking to do deals again in the future. Right? To be able to say, we're ready, let's go. Right. And to have those relationships in your back pocket is important.
Any other business plans along with Don in India? You have Deepak Parekh as well on your board, right? For Tribeca.
So with Trump,
give us some breaking news. Come on,
with Trump, there's nothing else we can announce, but there is something exciting we'll be announcing next week, and that's all I can say on that.
We won't let the cat out of the bag.
Won't let the, exactly. Not out of the bag just yet.
All right. How soon do you think you'll sell off the entire project? At this current rate, will you be able to maintain the momentum?
Absolutely.
Pankaj?
I think my target is to sell the entire product in the next 6 months.
Next 6 months?
Absolutely. 100% sold out.
All right.
Maybe we'll find an opportunity if we can do another tower, which we cannot, unfortunately.
Responsible for it.
No, he just set the expectation right once again. He just said that these guys have met my expectation, but now I'm expecting some more. So I'm taking that as a feedback, and I'll make sure you're very, very happy when next time you're here.
6 months. Yeah. Okay. So both of you have got lots to do. A lot of responsibility of being the US President's son. Now you're managing a global empire. Along with your brother, you have 5 children, aged between 3 and 10.
Yes.
How wonderful is that? And you're managing all of it. How are you balancing it?
It's not easy. It's not easy. I think, obviously the kids, in the grand scheme of things, it's more important than anything. So you have to try to do that right. So I try to be active when I can. Obviously the business responsibility is a great one. And even though I'm not in the administration, politics becomes a part of it because, I believe in what my father's doing, and certainly up against a lot of adversity. I'm a vocal kind of guy. I'm not so good at just sitting in a corner and being quiet. So it's all important. All has to get done. Family being number 1, business probably being number 2, politics being 3. But
so family is number 1.
Family has to be number 1.
How much time do you get to spend with your family and your children?
This week, not a lot. Okay? This week, not a lot. But I was with them all weekend, and so it was great. And I think they get it. Certainly the older ones are starting to understand sort of the weight of that responsibility and how it is different than it was before. But it has been interesting. It has been fascinating. And as an American, I think it's important to watch and see that whole process unfold. It's an incredible opportunity just to be able to sort of be a fly on the wall in certain instances of not only probably the greatest political upset in history as it relates to the campaign, but to also see what's going on now and the reforms and the changes that are being made that are historic and rapid, because you finally have a businessman, someone who's actually done these things, not just talked about it, but someone who's actually done these things in the real world, doing it in practice in politics is great.
I'm surprised that you're not part of the government because, I mean, that was an amazing speech, Mr. Trump, for your father.
Listen,
but just coming to the second one, I mean, our countries share a very warm relationship. Prime Minister Modi and your father have always had such a positive partnership. You will be meeting Prime Minister Modi on the sidelines of a global summit. No government official visit, but do you have anything in mind on what you could be discussing with him and chatting?
No, not really. Again, I'm here as a businessman, and I think, when you talk about the 2 largest, and this, I guess, I'll say this in my speech, which is, now the U.S. is the second largest democracy. And we don't like being second too often. It's not a Trump thing, right? But in this case, we'll make an exception and say that's okay. But, I think there's a lot there. There's a reason why India is, way before we were ever in politics, but, a place that we were really looking to do deals and to invest in, because I think there's a lot more similarity. And when you talk about this sort of natural business relationship beyond the political relationship, of the two largest democracies in the world, I think that's an important relationship to maintain, especially when you look at what's going on in the world today in many of the other markets and many of the up-and-coming powers. So, I think that alliance has always been strong politically and should remain so. But, for me, as a businessman, which is the way I look at it, I think that alliance is also great, because I think there's a lot of things that can be shared that can promote both of our economies. And frankly, strength in economy is going to be strength in everything else, and those are the things that I'm concerned about.
Donald Trump Jr., pleasure to have you with us, with your two partners, Kalpesh Mehta and Pankaj Bansal. All the best to you for your India vision, and
really appreciate it.
hope to see more of you back here in the country.